a beautiful land. For God and country, free pledge we all, led by the flag for which we stand. Look for the mind that seeks the good and true, red for our promise in the king. White for the glory of a heart that's pure, bright with an ever-shining flame. Alma Mater, we hail, God give the earth and great success. With truth and love will conquer all, for God our land and essence blessed. Alma Mater, we hail, God give the earth and great success. With truth and love will conquer all, for God our land and essence blessed. With truth and love, let us unite and be true to our glorious college name. High on the hill, a beacon light is she, leading her children on to faith. March on to glory is the message full, spread truth and love will far and wide. Loyal to the hands who reign for guidance, teacher and pupil side by side. Alma Mater, we hail, God give the earth and great success. With truth and love will conquer all, for God our land and essence blessed. Alma Mater, we hail, God give the earth and great success. With truth and love we conquer all, for God our land and essence blessed.
A very good morning to one and all present over here. I welcome you on this August gathering one day national webinar on the fate of Devadasi, Nat and Beria communities, a closer look. I welcome you on behalf of management, St. Francis Research College, popularly known as SFS College, established in 1956, is a Catholic Christian minority degree college situated at Seminary Hills, Nagpur. The college offers different courses in science and arts. It is affiliated to Rakshasanta Tuklaji Maharaj Nagpur University. We all have gathered here to discuss more about the Devadasi and the problems and the challenges that people are facing. Devadasi means a servant of God. These women were dedicated to God and were considered given in marriage to God, meaning that they could not marry any mortal. Nevertheless, they were free to choose partners from among the married and unmarried men alike. These relationships could be long and stable or just for a short period of time. But in no way were these women economically independent on their partners. They learned music and dance and as many as 64 types of art. They would dance and sing in temples or in front of royalty and earn gold and land as a reward. Some choose to dedicate themselves only to God and stayed without partner all throughout their life. To discuss more about these things, we have today's chief guest, Father Herald D'Souza. Now I request Dr. Sebi Joseph sir to kindly welcome you. Sebi sir, over to you. Dr. Sebi Joseph.
Thank you, Sachin, and a very good morning to all. It's my privilege to welcome Reverend Father Harold D'Souza as a chief guest today for today's webinar on the fate of Devadasis, Nat, and Beria communities. He has a PhD in social work from the Nagpur University. He completed his Bachelor of Theology at St. Charles Seminary, Nagpur, with affiliation from the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas, Rome. He is the founder director of the Indian Center for Integrated Development, an NGO working tirelessly for the cause of children in indigent circumstances, women, and other marginalized communities, in particular, those residing in the rural areas of Nagpur and Betul district of Madhya Pradesh. He is a visiting faculty at St. Charles Seminary at St. Charles Educational Society, Nagpur. Besides, he is an esteemed resource person at Matru Seva Sangh Institute of Social Work, Nagpur, counseling on the needs of special groups, the economically disadvantaged, the destitute, and orphans. He has another feather in his cap. He is member of the Institutional Ethics Committee of Government Medical College, Nagpur, and member of Virtual Institutional Medical Research Ethics Committee, Sri Krishna Hridalayam and Critical Care Center, Nagpur. Reverend Father has presented research papers in national and international seminars. We are indeed fortunate to have a person of the stature of Reverend Father Harold D'Souza as our chief guest. It will not be an exaggeration to say that his mission is to serve the last, the least, and the lost. I invite Reverend Father to deliver the inaugural lecture on the fate of Devadasis and Nat and Beria communities. A closer look. Welcome, Father.
Sir, Father,
Father,
please
your
unmute
mic
yourself.
is mute. Your mic is mute, Father.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Thank you, Sebi sir. Respected Dr. Katie Thomas, my lovely friends, Easo Daniel sir, Leela madam, and Amar sir, and all the respected dignitaries and the participants. First of all, I would like to acknowledge and appreciate the opportunity given to me to be the chief guest of this webinar. And at our organization, ICID, we have been working with the women in from disadvantaged communities for long. And of course, the topic of today is very close to our heart, especially whenever it is about rights of women in India and in the world. And we have two people who have very extensive experience in the field of also working with women, especially those women in communities where they are exploited in a flesh trade, and they are Easo Daniel and Leela Daniel, very close friends of mine. And the topic today, very rightly taken, the fate of Devadasis, Nat, and Beria communities, a closer look. And I congratulate the Institute for taking up this challenging topic. Just to glance through, what is Devadasi system? It's a practice in which girls from lower caste, as young as 5 or 6, are married to a goddess and sexually exploited by patrons and higher caste individuals. It's a Sanskrit word which literally translates to female slave of God or servant of God. Of course, religion, caste domination, patriarchy, and poverty are the main causes of the Devadasi system to flourish in India. In its current form, the practice is not as much as about temple worship or temple dancing. Rather, it is almost similarly related to the sex trade, prostitution, and exploitation of the lower caste. The Devadasi system has devolved into institutionalized sexual exploitation of the poorest of the segments of Indian society. When you see it through historically, As it originated or founded, Devadasis had two great honors. They were literally married to the deity. They were treated as goddess Lakshmi. And secondly, held in high honor because those women could control their natural human impulses, five senses, and submit themselves to God. Initially, they were not married to anyone, or they did not have any relation to men. They were also considered auspicious, and they took care of the temple, learned Indian classical dances, and performed temple rituals. They were also supported by patrons who were considered to have high social status. And then, because of the invasion of the country by foreign forces, led to the destruction of the temples, and the Devadasis lost their patronage, their high status in the society, and that led to exploitation. Let us now reflect how safe were women in India. A lot of debates go on different times. If you look at this National Crime Report Bureau, in 2020, there were a total of 371,503 cases of crime against women all over the country. Crimes against women included cases of rape, outraging modesty, dowry deaths, harassment, acid attacks, and kidnapping. Uttar Pradesh state had highest number, 49,385. West Bengal had 36,439. Rajasthan had cases of 34,535. Maharashtra had 31,954. And Madhya Pradesh 25,640. And in that, 30.2% were of cruelty by husband or his relatives. 19.7% were assault on women with intent to outrage or modesty. 19% kidnapping and abduction of women, and 7.2% rape. What is the number of Devadasis in India? Very difficult to confirm the number because the practice is very often practiced underground, and also that it is difficult to differentiate from non-religious practice of flesh trade. According to National Commission for Women 2011, there were about 44,000 Devadasis in India, but the number may go up to 250,000, as it said. The National Human Rights Commission said in 2013 that the number would be about 450,000. According to a survey undertaken by the government of Karnataka, there were 40,600 Devadasis in the state. That was in 2008. But according to some NGOs in Karnataka, in 2018, there were now Devadasis were numbered more than 80,000 in that state of Karnataka. Whatever be the number, but the truth is that the Devadasi practice is the violation of the rights of girls and women to health, education, sexual and reproductive rights, the right to choose and autonomy, and the right to be free of every form of exploitation and abuse. There are a number of legislations, especially enacted by the states. The Karnataka Devadasis Prohibition of Dedication Act 1982, which declares the practice of dedication of any woman as a Devadasi as unlawful and prohibited. The Andhra Pradesh Devadasi Prohibition of Dedication Act 1988 declares the practice of dedication as unlawful and void. The Maharashtra Devadasi System Abolition Act 2005 holds that no marriage by a Devadasi shall be invalid, and cohabitation by any man with a Devadasi as husband for a reasonably long of time shall raise the presumption of marriage, and any offspring shall be deemed to be legitimate with all property rights. Then other relevant sections and acts we have. The Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989 prosecutes persons who are not a member of scheduled caste or scheduled tribe for the act of dedication. Then we have the IPC, the section 370 criminalizes the trafficking of persons when the trafficking is for the purpose of exploitation. Section 373 criminalizes the buying and selling of minors for the purpose of sex work, and is applicable to Devadasi women and minor girls. Then we have the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1956, ITPA, which criminalizes the keeping of brothels, engaging in prostitution knowingly by persons above the age of 18, and procuring or inducing or taking of persons for the sake of prostitution. And for girl children, we have a couple of legislations, especially the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2015, JJ Act, which very relevant, that would consider girls of children of Devadasis, girls especially forced into Devadasi system, can be referred as children in need of care and protection. Then we have Protection of Children Against the Sexual Offences Act, POCSO Act, very relevant, especially in case of sexual exploitation of minor girls. The Protection of Women and Domestic Violence Act 2005. This act protects the rights of women who face violence within the household. So even the girls from the families, if they are forced into Devadasis, practice, then this act also would be relevant. What are the major issues of Devadasis? Here, majority of girls who are dedicated come from the scheduled caste communities. And also, there is complicity of the family and relatives. Family is involved. Girls are forced into dedication by parents and the relatives. Parents make the decision, and this way they propagate the practice. Of course, very often it is done due to poverty and social pressure. Poverty, illiteracy, hereditary, and caste system are the major factors that facilitate the dedication practice in India. Begging and prostitution are two important social evils resulting out of Devadasi system, because they don't have any alternative livelihood. Hence, very often this is the only way of livelihood for the Devadasis, especially when they are not able to, especially when they are not educated and they don't know any other trade. Most of them are forced into commercial sex work until the age of 40. They and their children very often are branded and face social stigma in the society. And the policy, the schemes are very inadequate in India to meet the relevant needs of these Devadasis, or even to prevent them from entering into this practice. They are unable to reintegrate into their families due to the evil practices and the social pressure. And of course, at the larger level, the lack of awareness also leads about the legislation, added to the poor implementation of the legislation, push these women from disadvantaged families and communities into this practice of Devadasi. How can we deal with this situation? What is the way forward? First of all, the preventive measures, stringent and effective implementation of laws, policies, and programs required for containing this exploitation of women and girl children. The rehabilitation programs with implementing machinery should be in place. It should be proactive and in field. Then recognition of live-in relationships as marriages, because many of these Devadasis live with other women at present, and if they live for long, then it should be considered as marriage, and they should have and their children should have the right to succession and inheritance. A free legal aid, there should be a proactive collaboration of state legal service authorities with the ministries of social welfare and women and child development. Then education is the best way for transformation, and so also for the children of Devadasis. So promote education of Devadasi girls and women. And of course, um, community awareness, social awareness is must, especially about the rights of Devadasis girls and women to be free from any form of violence and exploitation. Without the society being aware, without the stakeholders, all the stakeholders related to Devadasi practice are aware of all the repercussions, and especially the rights and dignity of women, and rights and dignity of Devadasi girls and women, uh, there won't be any change or transformation for a better way of life in the society. With this, I conclude my reflections and thoughts and sharing, and wait eagerly for our resource persons to share their experience, because they have highly experienced, and they will help us particularly about these two communities to understand their situation. Thank you very much.
So, thank you, Father, for your wonderful talk, and you have really explored the plight of Devadasis in our country, and I'm confident that after this we will be able to empathize with a lot of the Devadasis, and it has to be said that we need an enlightened India to march ahead on the road to prosperity and well-being, and this may not be possible if you're oblivious to the plight of our brethren. It's also to be expected that the legal framework must be strengthened to stamp out this evil, which is still prevalent in the remote parts of the country. Father Harold Easo has dwelt at length on this very relevant issue, which has stifled the progress of the country. As human beings, we have a responsible office to perform. A country cannot progress if certain sections of society are left in the doldrums. Father Harold Easo has touched our hearts. His message is loud and clear. It's a wake-up call to action before it's too late. Thank you, Father. So I hand over the proceedings to Sachin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Father D'Souza. Now we are moving ahead with our resource person. We have two speakers with us, Mr. Easo Daniel and Mrs. Leela Easo. I welcome them all, and they were working in the Bokaro Steel City Hospital. Leela ma'am is trained as a nurse, and Daniel sir is a pharmacist. They left their job and came to Nagpur in 2002. They both have been working in the red light area of Nagpur district since 2003 and co-founded the organization Charan Sthan. Now I welcome them on this platform to share their ideas and the experience that they have got when they were working in the field. Welcome you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, and it is really wonderful to hear from our friend Father Harold, and he's really a good friend to us, and in a lot of things that we go to him, and he is a great person who continues to help. And we thank you, Principal of SFS College, all the HODs, the College Committee for Development, and for inviting us. And just now, We celebrated our 29th wedding anniversary on the 24th of this month, and we have entered into the 30th year. And since 19 years, we are here in Nagpur, and since 18 years, we are working in the red light area of Nagpur. Students, you are really studying in a wonderful college, and the awareness that is being brought, the things that is happening around us, that your college wants to bring awareness to you, that you be a good citizen, not alone educating yourself, but good citizen, and also help in times whenever there is a chance for you to help. Please be a good citizen in your society. Most of the
No, no, sir. Just open your document. Your screen is shared already. Just open your PPTs that you want to present.
you're able to see.
Yes, yes.
So
Just
most
make
of
it
the
full screen.
okay.
Slideshow option. Yeah. Play from start. Play from start.
Most of the
Yeah.
thing that I want to share on Devadasi was really shared by Father Harold, and it was nice that he sharing from his experience. And Devadasis from high school, high social status to being a sex slaves and child prostitutes. Devadasi is a woman who is considered given to marriage to God. These women dedicated to God once held high social status and were well respected, but now they are nothing more than slaves. Devadasi is once she is married to God, then she cannot marry any mortal. That is, she cannot marry any other person. But they are free to choose partners from among the married or unmarried. These types of relationship will last for a short period of time or it will continue. But in no way these Devadasis depend economically on their partner, because they would dance and sing in temples in front of the royalty and earn gold and land as their reward. Uh, the tradition of Devadasi can be traced to 7th century, particularly in southern part of India during the reigns of Chera, Chola, and the Pandyas. They were well treated and respected and held high social status in the society. It was common for them to be invited to be present at or initiate sacred religious rituals. Almost these states, the Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, and Madras, have some concentration of Devadasi even today. Uh, there was a time in history when Devadasis were very powerful and they had the favor of their king. Most practicing Devadasis women are from the lower Dalit caste, especially Madiga and Valmiki. The majority belonging to Madiga and Valmiki. The each temple has got at least 10 to 20 Devadasis. And it is believed that at least one daughter of the Devadasi needs to be dedicated to the deity, Ellamma or Renuga of the temple to avoid incurring their wrath. This is mainly concentrated in Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Maharashtra. Mostly Maharashtra, if you see in Sangli, there are a lot of people where these Devadasis are there. But now what they are doing is they are scavengers. That is the only job that they will get. And you see the dedication ceremony is lot like a marriage ceremony. Because that is the way that the young girl is being at the age of 4 or 5 is brought into the temple and the parents marry them off. While she attains puberty, then she is being told in the community, and then somebody takes her, and that person takes care of the family, whatever expenses that they need, that fully or partially. And till that person has sex with that girl. The Devadasi system has always been oppressive to women and placed them in vulnerable positions to make it easier for men to exploit the women. Unlike their earlier high social status, Devadasis are now nothing more than sex slaves. You can see a photo here. They are all Devadasis, but very difficult for them to live in the present age because they have attained the age. And nobody go to them for sex also, but the only job that they take is scavenging. Despite being outlawed for almost 30 years, AP Act, as Father Harold also, he was talking about the different acts, still this is being practiced, and Devadasis cannot enter the temple as they are of low caste. Now, they are low caste, they are married off to the deity, and but again, because they are lower caste, they cannot enter the temple now. Now that is the way, that is the system that is happening. The system is now practiced in AP, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. Even today, even though after 30 years of passing these acts that the Devadasi system should be abolished, this is being practiced in these states. Girls are forced into becoming Devadasi, as in many cases, this is the only source of livelihood for their families. Yes, parents don't have anything, they don't have land, they don't have any means of living. So they give their daughter as Devadasi, and then through her earning through sex, that is how the parents live. These Dalit families are ostracated and shunted from the village, making it difficult for them to get educated or better jobs. Mostly it is scavenging only. Now, often we see a girl child being referred as a liability, but by forcing them to become Devadasis, these communities transform them into assets. Upon the girl attaining puberty, family inform community who help them find a buyer. That's what I said, that the person will buy her and then he will take care of the family. The buyer who is wealthy will take care of the girl and support the family partially. According to the National Human Rights Commission in 2013, there were as many as 4,50,000 Devadasis in India. Still, this number we don't know. But today, what is the number we don't know? It is very difficult to get the correct numbers. Criminalizing only the Devadasi system is not effective as evidenced by the huge number of Devadasis. The huge number of Devadasis are there. Rehabilitation and education of these communities as a whole is key. Unless and until we rehabilitate them properly, or we educate the parents, we educate the village, we educate the communities that not to send their girl child like this, and only then we can bring a full stop to this Devadasi system. I hand over to my wife on to speak on the Nut, Beria, and Kanjar community.
Yeah. So other community which is mostly we see in the flesh traders, these are the sex slaves from Nat, Belia and the Kanchar communities. Are, so they believe sex as their trade and tradition. Nat, Belia and the Kanchar communities are instituted in UP, MP and Rajasthan. They used to be dancers and performers in the olden days and earned and land gold from the kings in whose courtyard they served. Same thing like Devadasis, they dance at in the temples and please the land the deities. But here in these communities, they are also from the lower low caste people, and they used to folk dance after the through their folk dance and folk arts. They used to entertain the kings, so they served. They used to do that one. After the British invasion, their arts were not lucrative enough in a changing world. Then these communities started practicing prostitution to sustain their families. So these communities now, most of them are almost all this community, they are practicing slide.
Extra.
So practicing their this thing. So they believe media families, they believe this is their family business. These communities are ostracized because of their lower caste and have very limited access to resources to better their life. That means they don't educate their children. They don't have to, only in especially in the Kanchar communities and Beria communities, those residing at MP, Gauliar, and Madhya Pradesh and other states, Rajasthan, or they don't have the schools. And the other communities, they will not allow these children and to access the schooling. They don't, education is prohibited. Now in Bharatpur, that is in Rajasthan, they have the one collector. He has built a small school, primary school for these girls. So they attend for some times, and when the poverty age comes, they come and um, these children are pushed into the sex trade. Many from these communities believe that they have no other option but this is to earn a decent living. So, there actually the children have been taught by that there is no other way to earn. So only they, so the children born in that community, they see only their mothers, their aunts, and their sisters are practicing this only. So they don't know any other things also. This village look like any other rural village of India, but when you see girls and women in revealing cloth and bright lipsticks, you can see that there is something different. So, same way, everyone is look like the same village type people, but they have been trained to dress up in a different way, and so then they will dress up and with their lipstick, and they look very differently. Then only we can recognize these children are not from the same poor community. The girls in this community are groomed to be pushed into sexual slavery by various methods and are even tricked into thinking that they are making a choice. Actually, these girls, they have been before just while the childhood nearing their poverty ages, there they have been given these hormonal injections to like their private parts, and they will develop it and they will show. So that means they tricked, they are brainwashed, they have been tricked, and sometimes their these children are sent to their aunts, aunties, they, those who are working practicing in the different red light areas to know the how to entertain, how to be pleasing to the man. So these are only the trading and their education they are getting. So this, the girls in the community are groomed to be pushed into sexual slavery by various mothers and are even tricked into thinking they are making a choice. In the extreme lack of opportunities, making desperate choices does not amount to the willingness. That means we think that they are making their own choices. That is, people think that, but they are forced to train, they are trained in that way, they are making a choices. The mother or aunts teach young girls their future provision. So same thing, the mothers and their aunts, they are working, mothers will not be working as a sex slave, but their mothers will train the girls, um, and their aunties, those who are practicing the sex trade, they will be teaching the younger generation to be profession, how to be pleasing the man. When they are still young, they are asked if they want to get married or they want to work as a prostitute. This is another way of tricking them. When they come into the poverty age, these children are taking to the. They will ask whether do you want to serve as marry and be a domestic slave, or you want to be a prostitute. So they see the aunts, then the other sisters like living in a very different way than the married women. They have to clean, they have to, like married women do all housework, take care of children and husband, and also work for their working sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws and so many family members. This married women has to do work. So these children will say that they are very much workload on this married women, so they chose to be they will take this provision as their provision. When the young girl hits puberty, her virginity is auctioned off to the highest bidding wealthy man. That money is used to throw a party for the village and is used to adorn the girls in a new clothes and jewelry. It's called नातुतारना. इन इस कम्युनिटी में एक फंक्शन होता है, जैसे कि देवदासी सिस्टम, they have that temple, they take them and they marriage, giving to the marriage. In the same way, this Beria community, they have a Natutarna. That means they at the poverty age, mostly they do the Agori pujas. What is Agori pujas? They do the witchcrafting, and they believe that they will take it to the ancestors' graveyards, and they will bring through this witchcrafting, and they bring the same spirit to these younger girls' life. That's what they believe. And this Agori puja is very much witchcrafting, and they in that on that functions they slaughter pigs meat. They sacrifice pigs and other animals, like pig is mostly they do. So this is the Nathutarna function. And after the Nathutarna, the young girls is eventually leased out to different brothels in big cities. Delhi's GB Road is a popular red light area for these girls because Delhi is very near to the Rajasthan and other parts of MPs and other things. So Delhi's GB Road is a popular red light area for these girls. This community does not have access to education, but teaches all ways to pleasure a man by the time the girl reaches puberty. As I told you before itself, also in different ways, and the girl also look before age, she looks like an adult. That's the way they make it. This community knows all the tricks to make the girl looks like a adult. The children in the village see their mothers and aunt entertain customers in bushes around the village or in makeshift rooms. They makeshift rooms means they have small rooms like a very cupboard type like rooms, and with bed sheet or old cloth, old saris, they make a separation, and they have the practice. They by shift wise, the girls practice sex in that rooms. Young girls are sent to live with their aunt in different retreat areas to learn about this trade. So this is what young girls, when the children are sent to the young girls, and mainly girls send it to their and in different retreat areas, like in Nagpur retreat area, they come and they stay. So many girls we will see, and other retreat area, GB, Delhi, Bombay, and most of this northern side of the retreat areas, these girls they will come and stay with their aunt to learn the practice of what they how they are doing it. The men of the community do not work and serve as pimps and traffickers for the women in their family. This is another social injustice to the women and the children. The women, the men in the family, they don't do any other work. They just entertain, and they will serve as a pimps, and they are ready to sell their own daughters into different. They will find and traffickers for the women in their family itself. These men, and they eat, they drink. That's all. With their men of this community, they don't work. They enjoy their life by like their daughters and their sisters earning their leave. These communities also work with the kidnapping rings to get more girl children into their families. They buy girl babies and they raise them as their own and push them into the sex slavery. This is another things they do. This community, what they do, they buy the younger girls from other communities also. So after that, they bring them as their own children, and they give them their own surnames. And the children, they don't know the girls when they reach into the puberty. They will not send to the school or any other things, and they will send them and they will do that. In our things, we in our experience, we could for this young in in 19 years of experience, very hardly we could educate. In our residential care unit, there were 8 children. Now 2 are there, they are studying. But when they reach into the age of 14 or 15, these brothel owners, their mothers, they will come and fight with us, and they will take the children. So many times we saw that these children. So one girl, 2 girls, we could teach them till 10th standard. So by we were at the back of them. so that a brothel owner had to marry them, and they both are now leaving, but their fate is that they married to the same community where they will serve in the family for other people, those who are doing it. And these girls, now they are being 10th pass, so then, so that they are teaching the education now. They are they are struggling still. And one boy we could educate from Hislop College to like BCom. He could complete and he's working. And from this last point, these communities also work with the kidnapping rings to get more girl children. So by God's grace, we could save four girls from their one family. From one brothel, we could save these four girls who have been kidnapped, and they've been given to their names. But by God's grace, we could save the four minor girls' life. Two are now learning, and they are studying in national school, and they have been kept in another home of our same thing, from away from Nagpur city, and they are studying writing to the 10th, and they are learning skill training. And the two of them are married. We could marry them off, and they are leading a good life in the society. So thank you so much, and we will give the intervention. Yeah.
Thank you. And this is what we are co-founders of Sharon Stan. It is a community development program which works for the holistic development of the victims of commercially sexually exploited women and their children since 2003 in the red light area of Nagpur in Maharashtra and the red light area of Asansol, West Bengal since 2019. The main objectives are rescue, rehabilitate, educate, and restore them back into the society. Any form of intervention that targets to only criminalize and eradicate the practice of prostitution is not enough. Rehabilitation of the community to bring about a holistic change and development will result in long-lasting change. Sharon Sun's work is aimed to prevent the next generation of children of sex workers from being pushed into this cycle of exploitation. Instead, now their futures are driven by their empowered dreams and academic achievements.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I extend my thanks to Mr. Daniel and Leela ma'am for sharing their experience and thoughts. Actually, if you do not share these things, so I thought we would not believe that these things still happen in India. As we are in the 21st century, we talk about the Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, and still some girl child are facing such a problem. So I think we need to think about that. And sir, as you shared that you have worked in Nagpur also and some other part of India also, that is really, sir, you are doing a great job for the society, and we would like to work with you if we can do something for that. Thank you, sir,
Sure,
for
sure.
sharing your experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I thank Dr. Harold D'Souza, sir, also for sharing their ideas. I extend my warm thanks for everyone who has attended this program, and I thank to management, Dr. K.T. Thomas, sir, Principal, SFS College, and all the management team who has organized this webinar. Thank you, everyone. I request everyone to stand for the national anthem. Please stand for national. Amar, sir, please play anthem.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir.
जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, everyone. Now this webinar is over here. You may leave now.